Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for dropping by. So today we're going to be ranking the best VTarAmp sims, just going over the heaviest ones. I'm not going to be going over all of them because there's probably 25 to 30 and it would take too long and be kind of boring, and I don't really care about the mid-gain ones either, so I just want the heaviest ones. But luckily there's more than enough to go through, so that's another reason I trimmed down the list. But before we begin, I just want to mention that the Jambi didn't work quite right. There's something with the distortion, so I couldn't get it to sound quite right. I don't know if it's just my computer or what I'm doing, but it might be fine for you. But I couldn't get it to work great. Term list didn't load, and the teaser was kind of on and off, intermittent. So those ones are not going to be on the list, but there's still 17 other ones that we can go through, and let's get right into it. Actually, start off with the banger. The banger is an amp sim highly inspired by the Randall Thrasher. So I made kind of a ranking list, and I had playability / feel, the CPU usage, and the sound quality / tone, just to kind of give it my own personal list so I could rank it accordingly. And for the banger, for the playability, the feel in your hands, I give it an 8 or an 8.5. It's in between there. It's really good. The CPU usage was 1.9 to 2.1%, which is not that good. And the sound quality was an 8. I thought it was pretty good. But this one I put in the excellent category. So next up we have is Blades. Blades is based on a signature amplifier made specifically for melodic death metal. I like the way it looks, and it has a lot of tonal functions, tonal options, and it does play really well. So here's a sample of how it sounds. For the Blades, I gave it an 8.5 for playability / feel. The CPU usage was 1.5% average. And the sound quality, I gave it a 9. It was really good. And the overall, the look of it, and it just is very cool. I really like this one. So this one's going in the Supremo list. It's the first one. Alright, so the next one we have is Clang, one of the earliest attempts on modeling a modern type of high gain amp, rebranded and enhanced or rebranded to 14mH reissue. So this is basically the same thing as the 14H, but seems like this was one of his earlier models. It's a pretty simplistic interface, but it does sound good. Here's a quick sample. So for the Clang, I gave it a 9 for the feel. It actually feels really good in your hands. The CPU usage was 1.7% to 2.0, which is not that good. The sound quality was 8, I thought. And this one belongs in excellent. So next up is the 14MH1, a tight, aggressive sounding amp. My first attempt at replicating a Nada's tone, but mistakenly taking for Meathead. So it's pretty similar to the Clang, but it has a slightly different characteristic to it. So for the 14, I gave it a 9 for playability / feel. It was excellent at CPU usage. It's probably it's number 2 on the list. 0.74 to 0.80. So any computer can run this one. This is excellent engineering. And the sound, I gave it an 8.5. So overall, this belongs in the Supremo category. This is an excellent amp sim. Anybody can use it. It's a little bit simplistic in the tonal options, but it works great. sounds awesome. Next up is the Heavy 4950, one of the earliest attempts at modeling a 5150, rebranded and enhanced. So for the Heavy 4950, I gave it an 8.5 for playability / feel. The CPU was 1.3%. It's very good. Sound quality was 8.5. And this one, I'm torn between Excellent and Supremo because it's kind of a little bit generic compared to the other ones, but it's very low CPU and it definitely will get you there. So I'm going to put it in Excellent because there has to be a winner, but this one is excellent. It's super good. So next up on the list is the Invasion from the Hasser Free Pack. It's a collaboration by Vadim Taranov, Seacow, Cabs, TSE, Valhalla, Sinmix, Aurora DSP, Lohan Albini. So it's pretty cool. It's a collaboration that they put this together. These are all really good. They don't look that spectacular, but they sound awesome and pretty low CPU. Okay, so for the Invasion, the playability, the feel is about an 8. The CPU usage was 1.5%. The sound quality was excellent. It was like a 9. It's one of the best sounding ones, actually. It doesn't look that impressive, but it sounds awesome. It has a very cool chug to it, very cool crunch. And this one, I'm also torn. It's kind of in between. It's just like the last one, the Heavy 4950. But yeah, I'm going to have to put it in the excellent category. It's not quite Supremo, but super good and low CPU, so most computers can run it. So next up is the Krunkenstein from the same pack. Okay, for the Krunkenstein, again, gave it an 8.5 for the feel, playability. It was really low CPU. It was third on the list, third lowest, 0.94 to 1%. The sound quality, I give it like an 8. It's not my favorite for sound quality, but it's very low CPU and it does chug pretty hard. It sounds really cool. So this one's going in the excellent category. So for the Mark III, I gave it a 9 for the playability / feel. 1.2% CPU usage. It's very low. It's really good. It's fourth lowest on the list. And the sound quality, I gave it 9.5. The tone is amazing on the SAMP, but the only problem with this, and it's kind of a major flaw for me, or not, just something that doesn't appeal to me, is that the way it chugs is, it doesn't have that gunk kind of Metallica thing. It has more of a chug, old school, like 70s chug. So it's not really for me for rhythm, but for leads or chords, if you play black metal or something like that, this is an amazing amp sim. But I can't decide if it goes in not bad or excellent. It's hard to say because the tone is amazing. All those marks I just mentioned were 9.9, so super high. So I guess it just belongs in excellent. I can't put it in not bad because of that. All right, next up is the Mega Fuzzy MK4. You guys know I love this one already. I've done a few videos on it. It's obviously based off the Mark series, and it's a very versatile amp sim. That's what I like about it, is that you can get a good 80s rock tone out of it or a brutal death metal tone. Like you can do the scoop mids thing and chugs super hard. So it's one of the best sounding amp sims out there. Okay, so for the Mega Fuzzy MK4, the playability, I gave it a 9.5. The CPU usage was 1.6% on average, which is very low. And the sound quality, I gave it a 9.5, nearly perfect. So you guys know I love this one already. Obviously, it belongs to Supremo. All right, next up we have the Mega Fuzzy Thread Lead. Obviously, it's based off of a dual rectifier, as you can see. So for the Mega Fuzzy Thread Lead, I gave it a 9 for the playability/feel. The CPU was terrible, actually. It was 2.8%. It was the worst on the list. The sound quality, the tone, I gave it an 8.5. So this one, I believe it belongs in not bad because of the CPU. Next up is the modern Sunny Hornia. It's based off of the Fortin Cali. For the playability/feel, I gave it a 9.5. The CPU usage was 2.0%, not great. And the sound quality was 9.5. To me, this has one of the best distortion characteristics. It has a cool crunch to it, and it chugs hard. So for me, this belongs in the Supremo. It's one of the best. All right, next up is the Proto 4. It's based off of the rectifier, obviously. So for the playability/feel, I gave it a 9. The CPU percentage was 2.0. Sound quality, I gave it a 9.5. And this one chugs so hard. It's one of the heaviest amp sims out there, actually. So this one's going up in Supremo. Next up is the PV530. It's out of the Hasser Pack 2.0. So for the PV530, the playability was 8.5. The CPU usage was 0.5%, which is the lowest on the list, actually. It's amazingly low. Any computer can run this. Sound quality, I gave it an 8. The only thing I didn't like about it, I guess, is it was a little bit generic sounding compared to the rest. Didn't have that much personality to it, but it does the job. It's a very practical amp sim, and it has 4-band EQ. Or not band, but 4-knob EQ. So this is going excellent because it's low CPU. Any computer can run that. Next up is the Raven Volcanic. Looks like it's based off of a Mega Grandifier. Okay, for the Raven, I gave it a 9.5 for the playability/feel. The CPU usage was 2.0%, which is actually pretty impressive considering it has a really nice interface. The sound quality, I gave it a 9.5. So for the look and the feel and the sound quality, I have to give this one a Supremo. It's going right up there. So for the red tone, I gave it a 9.5 for the playability, 2.5% CPU, which is second worst on the list, 9.5 for the sound/tone, and it would almost make it to the Supremo, but if it wasn't for the CPU usage, so it's going into excellent. Next up is the Turma Frost, the simulation that was heavily inspired by some modern amps. It's the most vague description, but it looks like it was based off of the interface looks like an Omega here, but this grill is kind of Fortin something. It's hard to say what it's based off of. It's kind of a mishmash, Franken amp. So for the VTarAmp Frost, I give it an 8.5 for the playability / feel. The CPU usage was 2.0 percentage, which is not good. The sound quality, I give it an 8. So for the VTarAmp Frost, I put it in the not bad category. All right, last one on the list is the Night. This is from the pack I mentioned before. All right, for the Night, I gave it an 8.5 for the playability. The CPU usage was 1.8 percentage, which is pretty high for something that looks basic. The sound quality, I gave it an 8. So for the Night, I'm going to put it in not bad. And if I had to choose an overall best one, I'd probably go with the MK4, just because it does the mid-scoop death metal chug thing really, really well. And it's just a versatile amp. You can get all kinds of good tones out of it. But any one of these are amazing. The modern SH is probably my second favorite. The 14, super low CPU, and it's very basic interface, but it actually works perfect. This is probably one of the heaviest ones on the list. The only problem I had with it is it has a little bit of a fizzy gain characteristic, but it's a super cool amp sim. Raven has an awesome... It's good for single string kind of stuff. It's a mega grandifier kind of tone. So, but any one of these in the Supremo list are amazing. The Blades is actually not talked about very often, but I love the way this looks, and it sounds really cool, and it plays amazing in your hands. It has a very realistic feel, and the strings kind of jump up at you. So, really like the Blades as well. It's not very well known. Invasion as well, actually. But yeah. MK4, I have to give it to the MK4 out of them all. So that's it, dudes. I'll put the links for the Supremo ones in the description for you guys, and you can check them out for yourself. And hope you find what you're looking for. Hope that narrows it down for you. That was the point of this, basically, is to help you find what you're looking for, because it's kind of option paralysis with all the amp sims out there, and especially in the free amp sim world. There's so many of them that it's overwhelming. So hope that narrows it down for you guys, and gets you where you need to be. So have a good one. Cheers. Thanks for stopping by.